What's up, guys? So we're gonna have a part 2 rant now. I just uploaded my interpretation of the tragic shooting that didn't have to happen at the Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. And I'm just trying to, utilize Twitter more or less, since I've been banned from Facebook, for trying to help people, fight dying from the flu. But, long story short, let's not get into that. We're gonna talk about something I have been very, very reluctant to ever use Twitter. Conditions people, you're just conforming for the sake of popularity and conforming, and that doesn't actually have any kind of practical use. But the other thing that I have an issue with, besides, is self-righteous stuff. It coincides with what I was kind of, touching base on in the initial video when I was, addressing the Senate thing. And now that I'm thinking about it, let's go click on gun control. I don't even use Twitter enough. Oh, here we go. Here goes all the self-righteous people. Where's the just senator people? Videos, broadcasts. Wow, Twitter's gotten really fancy since the last time I actually, was desperate enough to be on it. Oh, and here goes, okay. Muslim response to the shooting. Good God. So somebody just actually said, enough with the astrology stuff already. And I'm like, really? If you actually listen to my video, I actually point out, I give you some insight that I didn't have to actually watch the fucking news to give insight with. That's the beauty of that, right? As a matter of fact, before they actually even confirmed fatalities or whatever, I had already made this video at about 2:30 Pacific Standard Time, and I was just in the process of uploading it, and I had to run and go pick somebody up. So I actually, before the news even released it, that there was multiple, a handful of actual fatalities. And if you listen to my video, I actually say that. So enough with the shooting already. Where the hell is that damn senator? If every idiot uses this, there's got to be some easy way to find this. Congress. Come on, I saw it. It was streaming live simultaneously when the sheriff's department was actually. Are you insane? Wait, really? Wait. Is that the guy? Did I jump to conclusions? Okay, well, hold on a second. I may have jumped to conclusions. I saw something about Congress just instantaneously while this was going on, and I just automatically assumed. I saw the face of the guy who was talking about that, and he's a Republican. So, let's see. Democrats are occupying Congress demanding vote. Yeah, I knew it. Demanding vote on gun control. Wait. That was way back when. God, I hate social. See, this is why I hate social media. This is supposed to be, beneficial. Why? Wow, okay. Not like I have much faith in Google, but, it figures when I'm actually trying to find this, Murphy, Florida shooting, Congress responsible for level of mass atrocities. Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, Congress is totally fucking responsible for mass atrocities. It's because of the federalization of actually the whole school system. If people, it's the same kind of concept like if you have a huge banquet hall, and then the fool that's on the very north end of the table has control of the thermostat, but he's actually fine because that's where the actual, central air is pulling out from. But the people on the very end are too hot or too cold, and they don't have the accessibility to immediately tell the person who is in control of that they need some sort of changes, then try to, project their necessity to turn the thermostat up or down to him. It would be really fucking easy if you gave somebody who is actually in the vicinity control and oversight, as opposed to somebody who's miles and thousands of miles away, has no personal, associations and understanding, and on the same level. with the current ongoing situation. This also was a problem when John F. Kennedy actually, federalized and expanded like the Food and Drug Administration. You notice that there's all these listeria outbreaks and stuff like that. All these things, fascinating. When you marginalize and federalize schools, they're crappy, right? Like, you can sit there and tell your teacher, tell your principal, tell your superintendent, tell your blue in the face, if you can even get their presence anyway, that there's this issue with this kid, there's this problem with this, or there's some, unstable things going on, and we're gonna do a drill. It doesn't fucking help for you to do a drill for a shooting when the kid that fucking did the shooting was present for the drill, and that's why he killed everybody he wanted to, and successfully made it out of there and made distance, and had to be tracked down at another fucking location in order to fucking be arrested. Clearly the drill worked great. Except for the person that attacked the school was part of the kids that were supposed to strategize and figure out where to go. Yeah. And my problem is that somebody goes, enough of that astrology stuff. Oh yes, because you're salivating here on Twitter. You're here on Twitter because you're just crying and dying and upset. Quit projecting this false sense of empathy and integrity. You don't have it. You don't. You don't. Because funny thing, my video actually pointed out some bullshit, gave you some information that's not publicized right now, and for all we know, with how accurate and how trustworthy the news outlets in general and everything is on this level, that you'll even ever hear the real story, or that there'll actually be a fucking solution. I find it fascinating that Twitter is one of the trending tweet or hashtags is Columbine. Columbine happened in 2001, so we're going on almost 20 fucking years since a quote-unquote similar incident transpired. Yet, here we are again today, and nothing's happening. So funny enough, the same people who are proposing for this and proposing for that, yeah, no, it doesn't work. And then here's let's just get it out here. I'm not even gonna bullshit around anymore. The motive of the state, and I'm talking about collectively the state, the traditional congressmen, quote unquote. I'm not trying to basically chastise and segregate Democrat to Republican, but the people that are against the Second Amendment, let's just go with that one. They are not against the Second Amendment because one of their kids just got shot today. They're not against the Second Amendment because legitimately all the statistics that they're saying are actually going to be a harm to them. I've actually been to Washington, D.C. I had I don't know if I'm necessarily going to say the pleasure or displeasure of actually walking around the Capitol, but I happened to be waiting for an Amtrak train last year, and I was stuck like 8-hour layover at the train station by the D.C. area. And I have never been there, and I happened to walk around. Fascinatingly enough, the Senate building, just like a lot of the other buildings, it looks very, very, controlled and more or less, not necessarily safe. I didn't have like a safe feeling, but I felt like if anything was about to hit the fan, it would be nipped in the bud real quick, right? So as I was walking by, I couldn't tell, what buildings were what. I saw one particular building that had just like a little, VIP rope sort of thing, and a guy in a yellow shirt that had a firearm on him. And there were people, men in business suits, really nice business suits, walking up and showing a badge and walking in. And I looked at like the Jefferson Library and all that, and I was looking at all the monuments. I was just trying to take pictures. I walked up to this one, and the guy was looking at me really crazy, and I'm just like, dude, I'm a tourist, I'm just taking pictures, chill. And I saw him actually get physical with a transient or a homeless person that was just, loitering near the curb or whatever. So fancy that. With how much the senators and congressmen piss off people, and how much they know that they're doing fucked up shit to everybody, you bet your ass that they have thorough security and you can't get behind that door, that fortress, without a badge, and that they have to know your fucking face. You can't even actually take any cars up that road, even though it's an actual, road for cars. There's permanent cement pillars that keep cars from going beyond that. I would assume because maybe somebody would ram a car into the Senate. I'm not even joking. Because of how the fucked up bullshit they do. So, if the Senate is going to continue to perpetuate, hey, well, we need to figure out why there's so much accessibility and openness, vulnerabilities to the public schools, the actual facilities. How about we start treating all the schools and all the places that are gun-free, or the places that are having these mass casualties or tragedies, treat them just like the fucking Senate building. If we treated them just like the Senate building, there wouldn't be any fucking shootings. And depending on, in really high traffic for violence in whatever statistics areas, ghettos, major metropolitan democratic areas, by the way, there are some actual, school officers or designated police officers that are for the school that actually do have physical firearms either on them or in their persons, in their vehicle. So it's not that it's not within budget. It's not that it's not accessible. Or if it just became like common knowledge that there's allowed to at least be the principal or an officer or a security guard who is licensed and has the security clearance to actually be an armed guard. We're present at every single school. I mean, the guy could fucking do dual jobs. He could be the basketball coach after school too. You could utilize that. There's plenty of people in this country that own firearms. There's plenty of people with firearms out there. I'm sure that somebody would willingly go get a guard card and be, licensed as a secured armed guard, so they can make, 30 bucks an hour and increase their pay when they're getting paid jack shit to be a teacher. It's not that hard, guys. But it's actually because the reason why this conversation can't even transpire is because it goes back to the argument I said before. The air conditioning central unit controls is down at the north end of this huge banquet hall, and the shooting or the problem or the chaos is going on at the end. And by the time that fool hears about it, that everybody's freezing and everything, everybody's going to leave, or everybody's just walked out, or whatever else, or the scenario's just completely derailed, more or less. And here's the thing, then the person who has oversight or authority tries to go, so, I mean, what temperature do you want it at? I mean, what is good for you? How come if I feel good, how come you don't feel good? They start to project their own personal experience, and that's why it goes back to human psychology and actually only influencing or giving a fuck about things within your reach, or things that you're actually contributing some sort of constructive, positive reinforcement or, cohesive thing to it. And again, just to throw back in the special Twitter guy, that's like, your astrology stuff, please. Yes, to an extent, me interjecting, more or less, can be, you can argue that it's similar context. Except for the fact that I'm actually trying to be helpful. I'm trying to give information. Because unless you actually address a problem and acknowledge it and bring it out into the open, it actually can't be addressed and resolved. And fancy that, the one fucking thing that I do that I have yet to see many other astrologers go out of their way to publicly project this kind of thing, is that I know how to see when bullshit's going on, and when there's conspiring things, and when people are have malicious or conspiring intentions that result in deaths, tragedies, and fatalities. I'm the fucking Nostradamus of this age. Yeah. Actually, if you know anything about astrology and you look at our charts together, I have almost identical signatures to him as well. His psychic signatures. Yeah. So, the same thing with him, using all those quatrains and stuff like that. Yeah, I can do that. Except for the difference between then and now is that I won't be burned at the stake. And if they try, I'm going to shoot him first, because I believe in my Second Amendment. He would have. So he had to be all cute and poetic and do quatrains and stuff. I don't have to do that. And, since there's nobody actually, there are people acknowledging that this is actually happening. I'm not the first person to actually, point this out. But I am actually proving slowly, I'm actually doing thorough fucking research on random things, as a matter of fact. like I've done my truth about the stock market crash. I just actually completely dissected the founding and the organizations that transpired and have now created the current FDA, Food and Drug Administration. And yeah, I'm still working on some other things as well. But the funny thing is that with every single shooting and every single tragedy that's a systematic like repeat of something for them to continue to push their fucking agenda bullshit. Because if you actually look at the Constitution and you see why, or you read like Benjamin Franklin or whatever, or even Thomas Paine, if you read why their argument to have the Second Amendment is actually not to go hunting, not because you actually need it, but because the day that Congress or the president decides to do something that you don't like, and they decide to actually enforce physical, violence, or physically restrain you, that's when you go, hey, well, wait, we're trying to vote on this, and then they go, fuck your votes. Well, hey, all of us here don't agree with this. Well, fuck you, I've got more money and I've got police than you. Well, hey, we don't like this, and it's like, fuck you. Get in the fucking cell. That's when you pull your gun out and go, right, bitch. Yeah. You do that every fucking time you're in that kind of situation. It's a last resort sort of thing. Yeah. They continue to make it easy and make things vulnerable and easily accessible. And then they exploit it by basically putting it on a huge fucking pedestal and then hiding in behind this guise of some sort of integrity and like beacon of, righteousness that they need to take guns away. Tell them to make the security guard that's in front of the Senate go away. Tell them to take down those cement pillars that are on the street, like at least like a half of a mile down. Make them move those. Make them move those. Don't require security at the Senate door. And none of them are allowed to have any security and escorts. Ask them to do that. Then we'll talk about gun control. Yeah. Because then you'll start to see some really interesting things. You'll start to actually see that they will then be vulnerable and be targeted themselves. When it's publicized and made known to predators or, deviants or psychotic assholes that there is a vulnerable loophole in the midst, they exploit it. It's an opportunist. Right. Just like this kid did that very, very well. This is beyond Columbine. Because that was all orchestrated and there were multiple kids. This kid did it and left and was getting lunch. Because he actually was an opportunist and he used all of the strategies that were, supposed to help prevent this. So he actually was more successful and even got away. Yeah, so even strategy, oh my god, don't hurt me, hands up. Obviously, hands up doesn't work too, right? Right, Black Lives Matter? Hands up doesn't work, right? Right. Yeah. Sometimes, when the only thing that somebody, regardless of who they are, what you want to call it, uses might and uses violence and by all means necessary to do what they will to you and any other innocent bystander, you have to actually speak their language by physically getting involved as well. Yeah, the same goes for government. And with how upset you guys are, and I mean collectively, with the governments to be, regardless of what side of the spectrum or whoever you're mad at, giving up the guns is the quickest way for FEMA camps and, actual Holocaust camps or anything like that, or actual enslavement to happen. Just like Australia. The country Australia, right? In 1996, there was a government-issued buyback plan for all guns. They decided to outlaw guns. They said, hooray, there's a huge significant drop and decline in gun violence and gun deaths. But they did not highlight, and they kind of were trying to that there was 40+% increase in home invasions. Because the number one thing that stops somebody from breaking into somebody's home, if they actually have an orchestrated plan to make sure that they have something to bludgeon people with, tie them up, etc., if they can think of all the scenarios, what is that person going to do when I break into their house? Well, if they have a firearm, I'm fucked. I was like, well, if they're going to hit me with something, I've got this bigger thing, or I've got an axe, or I've got this. Yeah. So, a firearm usually is the deal breaker where, like, well, unless I have a firearm, or even if I do have a firearm, if they're in the dark, they know they're home, so they have the home territory kind of advantage, and I'm going into foreign territory in the dark, and that person could potentially have something that could kill me within 5 seconds or less. It's not worth it. But when you take that potential security or safety net or threat to the perpetrators away, you get a 40% plus increase in home invasions. Yeah. Fancy that. So again, my argument to any senators or any congressman or any of them that try to insinuate that we need to do some sort of, blanketing gun control or something like that, or to continue to, increase the, basically, restrictions and overreach on people by locking them up in asylums or whatever they're going to do, that sort of thing. Putting more restrictions on people so they have less freedoms to make sure this doesn't happen. Yeah, fuck you. Let's go ahead and have you at the same level as me. Full on the north side of the table. You come to the middle of the fucking table if you're going to try to tell me if it's cold or hot on that end. Okay? If you're not going to do that, then you need to shut your fucking mouth. And there needs to be a walkie or something like that, or somebody needs to have the authority to delegate to just walk their happy ass over there, and that's on that side where they would feel it, to turn it themselves. Self-accountability, self-responsibility. Do not get into business that is out of your reach. And again, just to reemphasize this to all the people on Twitter, what I'm doing is what I continue to do regularly. I highlight and elaborate on problems, reveal the actual origins of the issues so we can address them, and bring more of an objective or a different perspective insight to an ongoing issue that is maybe at a stalemate, or people are having issues trying to see from a different point of view and or find different solutions to resolve it. You acting like some sort of empathetic, Mother Teresa on Twitter to go, oh my god, just leave the astrology out of it. Yes, because you're not salivating all over fucking Twitter right now, looking at this and refreshing to see how many people have been accounted for to dead, who's responsible, and what they're gonna do about guns on whichever way that you sway biased-wise. Yeah. Because the fact that I did post that, I was trying to post it right away. Because, yeah, I want to make an impression. I want it to be heard. I actually really, really hope that Trump or someone in his cabinet actually sees what I'm saying. He's already well aware of what I'm talking about, hence why he's been gutting and defunding and, basically squashing all federalized agencies and stuff. But it's more or less, I'm working on systematically proving that there's not just neglect and dysfunction with the overall federalization and nationalization of things, but that they actually are well aware of the repercussions and harmful effects of it, and they're continuing to hush it or push it under the rug, and then say that use their own agenda or goals, and weasel that and like basically weave that into the solution to the problem. Because change apparently is supposed to be how to resolve the thing. So changing whatever's ongoing right now is the argument. Yet there's not a logical sound argument to that. I'm the logical sound argument to that. Yeah. Yeah. So go get a life, a job, or worry about your own damn self. Yeah. Or how about if you're so fucking concerned about school shootings, then how about you go to a PTA meeting or your local school district, even if you don't have kids or not, and say that, hey, I want to be a support system and I want to get involved in my local community and be some sort of extra safety net or start some sort of local, support, or communication agency on our own level, on a personal level, to help if there were a shooting where we can, evacuate kids or this and that or whatever else. Go fucking help your community. Get the fuck off Twitter and stop caring about something that's happening on the other side of the country when you actually have nothing to add to it that would be productive, constructive, or helpful. Besides trying to tell me, oh, don't do that. Take your fucking fake empathy and shove it, asshole. Or bitch. Let's not be sexist about this.